All right, everybody, good morning again. This is Magnus with BubbleWraps.net. Today we are in the garage continuing to work on our North Stars theme table here. Next section we're going to do is application of the end cabinet decal. So typically, so you've got a really nice design on the side of your cabinet that some people want to carry around onto the player ends of their cabinet, which you've always been able to do, but typically just another just perfectly rectangular decal. In order to put one historically on the sides of the cabinet, you need to remove the player rods, these little bumpers, the goalie knob, the buoy eject button, in order to do it, which takes a lot of time. I don't know if you've ever had the top off of your table. Look at what's going to be required to remove these player knobs or these player rods, and we got to disconnect it there from the gearbox coupling. There's another little set of bumpers there with small hex head bolts there you need to remove. You got to remove those plastic blocks from the inside so they can get these black plastic bumpers out. Then you got to pull the rod out, pop out your buoy eject button, pop out your goalie rod. You can do that for all 5 player rods, and then you got to put everything back together at the end just to get a flat, decal there on the surface. So what we've developed in the meantime is kind of a compromise. I like to call it the easy end cabinet decal. And what we've gone ahead and done, we've come up with a template. You can see here for the end of the cabinet, and it's got cutouts, pre-made cutouts for the player rods. So they'll just slide on over the player rods without having to remove them. You will have to remove the goalie knob and the buoy eject button. I found that's easiest to do. Those don't take that much effort, and the results turn out better that way. This saves you a whole lot of time and effort if you want to carry a design around on the end of your table. So today we're going to apply this easy end cabinet decal to this North Stars table. We'll go ahead and cover removing this buoy eject button, removing the goalie knob. Again, doesn't take much time, and it certainly is a lot less painful than removing the player rods, which can now go ahead and stay in place. So first thing we're going to do is remove the goalie rod. So let me get my phone again here and show you. So there's the goalie knob. It's connected through the side of the cabinet along this threaded rod, and then it attaches, if you can see it, with this little Allen screw, a whole bunch of washers, connects and holds this cam on, which then connects to that goalie block, which moves your goalie. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to get in here and remove this Allen screw. It's a 1/8 inch hex driver or Allen wrench to do that. Got a whole bunch of washers here. We want to be careful not to lose. There's some regular washers, some rubber compression washers, some wavy washers. There's a series of 5 or 6 of them, and then it connects to this aluminum cam arm there. So if we do this right, we can just remove everything all at once and just keep everything together and set it aside, and we won't have to monkey with it. So, all right, here we are again. I apologize for the crooked video, but it's the only way I can prop up this camera. So we're gonna try and get on film here, removing this goalie mechanism. So once again, here's that little Allen screw, bunch of washers, connects to that goalie cam into the threaded rod. So all you need to do, need to stick our Allen wrench, again it's a 1/8 inch Allen wrench, into our screw there, or bolt, and I can just hold the wrench stationary and turn the goalie knob until we back that screw out. And if we are careful as we do this, once it pops loose, I'm just going to try and remove this goalie cam, the bolt, and all the washers just in one piece here, and just keep everything together, so that the last thing you want is all those little washers to fall off and disperse everywhere around your cabinet, and you got to figure out what order they're back in. So do that carefully enough. You can just leave everything just kind of set up like that, leave the Allen wrench even attached if you want, and then it's all ready to go back on. So that's ideally what you want to do. Once you've done that, all you have to do is you can grab your goalie rod, pull it out of the table, and you're left with just one single hole there in your cabinet, which we will cut out the vinyl around when we get that applied here in the next step. So that's removing the goalie mechanism, really not that difficult. All right, next we need to remove our buoy and eject button. Some of the newer tables have a one-piece buoy eject button that all comes out as one piece. This is a little older table, so it's kind of a two-piece. The button and the little switch are two separate pieces, so I'll show you this. First thing you want to do, you want to take off the two wires. Make a note of which wire goes where. So I've got a dark blue and a light blue wire in my case. So I'll just remember which one goes on which. We'll just connect those two wires. Now that the wires are connected, now in this case, if you've got a newer table, both tables actually have a black nylon nut here that threads onto this red piece and holds everything in place. The newer switches, the switch is integral to this, so all you have to do is unscrew that threaded knob, or that threaded nut there, and remove your button. This one is a two-piece switch. The actual switch is this little white piece here. We need to pop that out first because we're not going to get this nut backed out otherwise. So all there is, in this one, there's a little, you can see right here, a little red tab, so you can get your fingernail up under it and lift up on that tab, and you can rotate that little switch forward, and that just pops out like that, and you can remove it. Now that switch is removed, now we can get at our plastic washer or plastic nut there. Back that off. Once that off, then your red plastic button just slides out from the front, and you set everything aside, and then once again, there's the hole for our buoy eject button, and we will cut out the vinyl around that. So with those two pieces removed, all these rods stay in place. We are now ready to apply the Easy and Dasher decal. Okay, so here we go. We're all ready to go. We've got our decal here. A couple notes on the decal. I don't know if it'll show up on the video. There's actually a little bit of extra white vinyl material below the design here. Couple reasons for that. One, when they do these cutouts, and there has to be a certain amount of vinyl remaining on either side of them, otherwise it's just too thin and it won't work with the printer. So I have to leave a certain amount of vinyl on either side, and it just kind of so happens that these, I don't know if you can see it on the table, but these player rods are actually offset a little bit towards the bottom of the cabinet. They're not perfectly centered. So if I just cut, there's just not enough space if I cut the vinyl right to the edge of the bottom of the cabinet to have enough space there to actually do the contour cut decal. So there has to be a little extra material. So that's why there's a little more. And then this little extra white gives you something, as you're maneuvering this, you can, in applying it, you can hang on to it and gives you something a little beefier again, so you're not, you don't want to put too much pressure on these little thin parts here to stretch them out or possibly break them. So just having this extra white gives you a little something else to hang on to, beefs up the sticker a little bit. And all that extra white is going to do, as you see at the end, that's just going to wrap down onto the white underside of our table and be hidden out of sight anyway. So that's the reason for that little extra white material. So to start things off here, we can go ahead and I just, if you have a second pair of hands, great. If not, it's not that hard to do yourself. We'll just peel the entire sticker off. Again, when you get to these cutouts, just be careful. Just do it slowly. You don't want to stretch or break those little thin bits. This is the same vinyl as the ice wrap, so again, you've got, until you're really pressed down on it, you've got plenty of chance to lift it back up and reposition it as need be. But okay, so now we got our backing removed. So all we're gonna do here is come down our table, and I'm just gonna carefully slide all the cutouts over the player rods, trying to keep the decal as straight as possible. Give myself a little more room here. All right, so first thing I'm gonna wanna do, I want to concentrate on the little top of the cutouts here, make sure the top edge of the sticker is level with the cabinet, and that each little cutout is roughly centered around its corresponding player rod, and then we'll adjust from there. So again, everything we do this first time, same as with the ice wrap, we just tack it down very lightly while we check it out. You notice this one's a little off center, so I'll adjust that. And just the machining tolerances in the table, and certainly when they cut out the contour cut of the sticker, there will be a little bit of white showing. I mean, I purposely made these holes just a little bit bigger than the plastic bumper caps there, just so you do have some room to adjust the decals and need be for any machining differences in the table or just application errors. So there's a couple more. And again, there's a little stretch in these decals, so if you need to stretch it a little bit, you can. Again, just not too much, you risk breaking a thin bit right there. And then we're just working our way across the player handles here. Tacking down the top edge of this decal, and again, then we'll worry about the rest of it later. Happy with pretty much everything except the center one, so I'm just going to readjust that. There, that's pretty good. So now we got our top stuck on very lightly. Now we'll work on the rest of it. So we can lift up as needed, kind of stretch our vinyl out and down. As smooth initially as you can, and we'll worry about working out larger wrinkles here in a second. Anywhere you've got a wrinkle you can't smooth out, you can lift up the decal again, same as we did with our ice wrap, and reposition. Just lifting up, stretching the decal a little so it stays flat, and then back down. And again, we're just putting light pressure on it at this point. Smooth out any of the larger wrinkles that we see. All right, now once that's done, now again, same as our ice sheet, I can start at the center and just start pushing out any smaller wrinkles that we see out towards either the top or the bottom edge, or to the nearest cutout, any air bubbles, anything like that. That's looking pretty good right there. Alright, so that's good enough for right now. So we'll notice again, like I said, this is the bottom of the table right there. I've got some extra material here that is designed to just wrap underneath the table and it won't be noticeable. If you happen to have one of the tables with the LED light bars pre-installed, those are kind of molded into some plastic that mount right here, where you can fold it down even with your light bar, and then once you get everything, you can press down. You'll feel the seam right here where the plastic of your light bar starts at the bottom of the metal table. Then you can just take your, like that X-Acto knife you're going to use to trim other decals, and just trim this decal along that seam on the bottom side of your cabinet where it meets the light bar. You can do that. This one obviously doesn't have the light bar, so all we're doing at this point, we're just tucking that excess material over. I mean, you could trim it too if you wanted, it's not necessary. I just generally fold the material underneath. And smooth it out. All right, pretty much applied. At this point, give it another once over here, smooth out any remaining air bubbles. You can put more pressure on it now to get the vinyl to adhere better. All right, so at this point, the decal is applied. Now all we need to do is do the cutouts for our eject button, which you can see if it doesn't show up on camera, but you can definitely feel right there. And then the cutout for your goalie knob right there through the cabinet. So we'll come back to that next. Cutouts. Again, if you watched my part on my ice wrap install video, highly recommend getting one of these little pen X-Acto knife blades with the fine point. Makes things a lot easier if you don't have one. But all we're going to do here, we'll just feel where the eject button cutout is. Take our X-Acto knife and we'll just slide it around that circle. And this is, you shouldn't have to saw. The blade should be sharp enough that it just cuts as you work your way around. Okay, there's our eject button cut out. We'll do our goalie knob and be ready to put everything back together. Feel around for a goalie knob, find the hole. And same thing, just cut it out and remove it. You can smooth down the edges of the vinyl in that hole. All right, there we go. Easy end cabinet decal is installed. We're ready to put everything back together, which is going to be the same process, just in reverse. So we'll start with the goalie knob. Okay, we got our goalie knob. We'll slide that back through the cabinet. You notice there's two little bushings here that it slides through first. All right, hope you can see that. And then we'll pick up our Allen wrench that still has the screw, the cam, and all those little washers attached. And carefully use a finger here, try and lift it up and insert the end of that bolt into the threaded rod that we just inserted. Hold the Allen wrench in place. Now we'll just rotate the goalie knob clockwise and it's gonna screw everything back in place. So everything's good and tight. And now I notice our little goalie arm will rotate back and forth. It just so happened that in this case, the little rod here that connects the goalie cam fell out, so we'll have to reinsert that. But insert that like so, and it slides back on the aluminum track and slide back and forth. All right, so our goalie knob is back in place. Now just get the eject button. Once again, got our red threaded button piece. Slide it in through the end of our cable, or our table. Our black nut. Thread that back on. Go. You can just do it finger tight. There's no need to break out a wrench or anything to really honk down on it. Finger tight is fine. Now we've got to get our little white switch for this particular table. If you've got a newer table, you should just be able to pop your wires on the end and be done. But if you notice on this little switch, there's two holes on each corner, and these holes are where the little pegs that are in the top of this red plastic piece fit in. So a peg right here, we're gonna insert the switch into that front peg, and then all we do is rotate the switch, white switch back, lift up again on this little red tab, and lift the rear peg, and it'll rotate back and then slide and pop into the rear hole in the switch. And then we just have to reattach our wires. I was light blue in front and dark blue in back. And there we go, everything is back together. All right, now we have got the end cabinet decals installed. We can go ahead and do the rest of our table. You see, a little bit of work to get those on, especially that, you know, make sure everything gets even around these cutouts, but it certainly is a whole lot less work than doing a perfectly, you know, flat decal with no cutouts, and you got to remove all the pieces. So it does take a little bit of work, a little more work than applying the decals on your side, but if you want to carry your design around the end of your table, that is what I would recommend. Unless you really want to do, you know, one piece flat decal, which more power to you, but on my tables, this is the way I go. So, all right, appreciate your attention. We'll move on to the next section next.